Hi everyone, it's Istvan Steve Kirai, chess master, back again. Today I would like to share with you one of my nice game I played in a Hungarian championship, the team championship in 1993. My opponent was Peter Ach. He was a very strong FIDE master with a 2400 rating, and at this time I remember he was learning very actively with many international masters in Hungary. So then that victory I made, it was very valuable to me, and it was I'm sure that the nicest game I ever played in Hungarian team championship. So I played by black, and also in a distance of so many years, I checked this game with many chess engines like Raikkofor, Fritz, and the analyzement shows that I play this game basically without mistakes. Every single move we made together, the engine shows the same move. So it's really, that game has a value. And also in the opening, what happened, the way I try to take the activity by black color, it's I think it's very interesting and good to see, and we can all learn, as me as well. I can learn still from this game. So I played by black, and I played a modern defense. He opened by e4, I played d6, d4, knight f6. Right away in the opening, I developing my knight to f6, and I put pressure on the e4 pawn in the center. So he played knight c3, developed, and defending the pawn at the same time. I played g6, planning to put my bishop on g7, and later on put pressure on d4, maybe c3, and all the way along in a black diagonal. So he played bishop e3. Bishop e3 is a very interesting move, because he's not developing on the king side, but he's developing the bishop from the queen side. Then uh, at the same time controlling and defending the very important d4 square and pawn in a center. Also, he has the thought to put the queen to d2 and make a queenside castle. And after, when the king castled on the queen side, he can play f3, g4, and h4 by having a pawn storm against the castled king side, the black king, against the black king. So let's see how the game continued. I played bishop g7, kept continuing developing. He played queen d2, as I mentioned before. So I played knight c6. I didn't castle at this time before I developed with my knight, because I want to put pressure on the white center later. So he played f3. He's securing the e4 pawn. Maybe then another option is to make a quick queenside castling. So I played castling this time, and he played g4. G4, it gives the character of the whole game, because to play g4 here, it's a very aggressive move, and shows that the white, it's only one goal is aiming for or going for to win this game, and attacking the black king side position right away with this aggressive g4 pawn move. Another option again, if before g4 the white is making a queenside castling, I think this is a more accurate to castle first. So what we do when the opponent is having a wing attack on the king side or on the queen side, we should operate and find the counterplay in the center by attack the center. That's why I choose to play e5 and attack the white d4 square in a center. So Peter played d5. That's very logical move, because he tried to close the center, and after continue with the king side attack with a pawn h4, h5, opening up the h file, and with a rook on h1 and the queen and the bishop. It's a very dangerous attack. So I have two options now. One option is to put the knight on e7, and another option to put the knight on d4. But as I mentioned, I always like to play very actively, even in the opening, by black color as well. So knight e7, it's a not a bad move, but it's a little bit passive. And if we are making passive moves during the game, we are giving for the opponent the chance to have an attack or build up a very active position. And if we passively have to only defend our position without having a counterplay, most of the time we are losing the game. So I always try to choose the more active continuation, even if I had to sacrifice a little material like a pawn in the position. So I decided to play knight d4. So now if we analyze the position not quite deeply, we might say that if the bishop is taking a knight on d4, I'm taking back the pawn, and the queen is taking the pawn on d4, and the white is able to win a pawn. But this is not true, because first of all, the white is sacrificing one of the bishop, losing the power of the bishop pair, and we know that the bishop pair is many times is a positional advantage. And also, and after, when the queen is hitting the pawn on d4, the queen is stepping into the diagonal of the black bishop. So I am able to move away with a knight, take the pawn on g4, and at the same time attacking the queen with a bishop on d4. So actually the white is not able to win the pawn in this position. So he chose in this position a very interesting move, knight c3 to e2. And that knight c to e2, it looks very logical and strong move, because now the threat in the next move, the white gonna play c3 pawn move and forcing the only active black piece, the knight on d4, to leave and taking the knight on e2. And then we can say very clearly that the white has the victory in the opening. Positionally, the white is taking over the whole game and probably have a very good chance to win the game. So as I told, I always tried to play actively, even if I had to sacrifice material by able to keeping the activity in the position. So I decided now to sacrifice my knight, and except waiting that the white plays c3, I sacrifice my knight on f3. And I gave the check, and at the same time attacking the queen on d2. How beautiful is it, right? So now the white doesn't have any other option. The white has to accept the sacrifice. And after this sacrifice, as you could see, the e4 square and the g4 square, the pawn standing there, it became really very weak. And that how interesting that when we are sacrificing and getting some material, the sacrifice only can be successful if beside the material we can keep the activity. And that game shows very clearly that I got only 2 pounds for my knight, which is materially not enough material and compensation for a minor piece like a knight. But if I compare that beside the 2 pounds, I got the activity still and my position remained very active, then we have to say that that sacrifice was correct. And my opponent Peter was shocked at this moment, and I could see in his eyes that he did not understand what's going on in this position. So that's by surprising the opponent by a sacrifice or a move in the opening, which can lead to a very a dangerous situation, because the opponent is not able to understand and continue in a correct way the game. So let's see how the game continued. He accepted the sacrifice, and now I took the pawn on e4. Why did I take the pawn on e4, you can ask, and why I did not take the pawn on g4? Because most of the time, if we can take a center pawn, this is more important, because to control the center and destroying the center and taking away the option from the opponent to control the center, it's very, very important. So the reason, this is the reason I took the pawn on e4 and not on g4. So he played queen d3, and now I have chance to retreat my knight. But then again, if I move my knight, for example, to c5, then Peter might took this knight, make the double pawn in my position, and my activity is disappearing. So I cannot continue the position playing actively. So I decided to sacrifice another piece. So I took now with my bishop the pawn on g4 and kept continuing developing. So now if he is taking the knight on e4, I continuing by pushing the pawn to f5, attacking the queen, and the queen has to leave the defense of the f3 knight, and after the queen is leaving, I took the knight on f3 with my bishop, and at the same time attacking the rook on h1, and then my pawn structure on f5 and e5, I'm controlling the center and the pawns are rolling and pushing down the white position. Again, you remember I mentioned about activity. Activity is extremely important. So by this sacrifice bishop g4, then I still kept my position remaining very active. So he is did not take except this knight on e4, but he put the bishop to g2. He developed and defended the knight on f3. So I continued by playing f5, and now see my minor pieces, my pawns is operating in the center. Even the white has one more piece, minor piece, but the piece they don't have harmony among each other. They are not helping each other. The white position is cramped. So let's see how it continues. And now he decided to make a queenside castle, put the king in a safety position, and now I played knight c5. Knight c5 is attacking the queen, and at the same time have a threat to play e4 or f4, and the pawns start to moving on and rolling, and every single pawn move is attacking a minor piece in the white position. That's mean the pawns winning a tempo, and as we know, to win a tempo in a chess game, it's many times it's very important to win a tempo. So he decided to play queen c4, and I played b5. As you can see, the white queen doesn't have any good square to retreat. So I decided to attack and sacrifice a pawn on the b file. To accept this pawn, it's very dangerous, but as you can see, the white queen doesn't have the good square to retreat. So Peter decided to take this pawn. And now I played rook b8. I placed the rook on the b file and attacked the queen and attacked the very important b2 pawn behind the queen. And if the pawn from e5 is moving to e4, I opening up the bishop diagonal from g7, and the bishop from g7 and the rook from b8, they both gonna attack the very important square close to the white king. And I think that now the white is facing many difficulties in this position. So he retreated the queen to c4, and I played bishop takes f3. He played bishop takes f3, and I play e4. Now I opened up the diagonal, and at the same time I attacked the bishop on f3. So as you can see, my position is still very active, and my pawns in the center is totally took over the control, and they are rolling, and every single pawn moves is winning a very important tempo. So he played bishop g2, save the bishop, and I played bishop takes b2 check. And the only move is to king d2 he played, because if he played king b1, he put the king into the pin, and after the bishop is moving away, it's very dangerous for the white king. Probably the whites cannot survive this game after that. So I played now a beautiful move. I believe that when we have a good attacking position, we should try to find the way, the moves, how we can improve our position. Every single move we are making on the board, we have to think about it, that how actually we can improve and make our position better and better. So I played the little pawn move a5, and this little pawn move, I believe that extremely strong and shows again the weak position of the white queen on c4, because the threat now is to play rook b4, and the white queen is totally trapped, losing. So that little a5 move is improving my position because I have a chance to bring another piece into the attackment, the rook from b8. So he played knight f4, which seems to be a very strong move because he is planning in the future to place the knight on e6, make a fork against the rook on f8 and the queen on d8, and also opening up the escaping way from the queen from c4 on the diagonal back to e2 or f1. So I continued the attackment by playing rook b4, and he played queen e2. So, and I played again, this is, I believe, that a very nice move. Then I played knight a4 because the c3 square in a white position is extremely weak. And now my threat is to give the check on c3 with my bishop. The king moved back to c1. I sacrifice my rook on b1, rook b1 check, king takes b1, and the queen is coming on the b file, queen b8 check, and in two moves the white king got checkmated. So this is a very, very strong threat. So the white doesn't have a time to play knight e6 and making a fork against my rook and my queen. Peter has to try to escape with his king. So he played king e1. And I placed my knight on c3 first and made a fork, attack the queen on e2 and the rook on c1. So, and then now the game start to be very, really very interesting and very tactical because Peter decided not to move with a queen. Then he decided to counterattack and play knight e6, attack my queen and my rook. So now both of the queens are under attack. The position is extremely difficult now, very difficult to decide that what we should do. So when we having a difficult position and very difficult decide what's continuation we should follow or do during the chess game, we should call as a help the principles, because the principles, the rules always give us the help and the idea then how we should continue or understand a difficult or a critical position. So the principle said then if we have the good attacking and the active position, we should not trade or exchange queen. So I decided not to think about to take the queen on e2 and let the white knight to take my queen on d8, because then we are going into the endgame, which is favorite the white, because the white is one piece up. So I decided to retreat my queen somewhere, and I believe that that move was the most difficult and the most beautiful move in a game, because I had to think for the future that where my queen will stand the best in the future. So I decided to play queen c8 because as you can see later in the future that that queen gonna have the extremely good the chance to come into the action and the attackment later on in a game. So he has to retreat the queen too. He played queen d2, and now I took the knight on d1, and he, except taking my rook on d8, he took the knight on d1. So I have a chance now again, very interesting moment, to take away my rook somewhere if I don't want to lose the exchange, but in that time I'm losing a very precious time and I'm losing activity, and a white get the chance to activating the bishop pair in the position. So I, from the beginning of this game, I had to keep an eye to hold the activity in the position no matter what, even if I have to sacrifice material. So as you can see through this whole game, to have the activity and play a chess game, not just at the beginning, but all the game through, in the opening, the middle game, and the end game actively, we should try to get the activity. So I decided to play f4 and mobilizing my center pawns and play the game actively. So he played now rook takes f8, take the rook on f8 and the exchange, and now as you can see that how nice plan was to put my queen on c8. Now I have a chance to put my queen in the action to g4 and giving the check for the white king on d1. So now all of my pieces, my queen, my rook, my bishop, my center pawns, all my mighty power and army, it's helping for each other as in the attackment. So queen e2 he played, and I played f3. Now the tactic is coming into the game. The pawn is attacking the queen on e2 and the bishop on g2, so I made a fork. Now the white gonna lose the material, so he decided to play bishop takes f3, e takes f3, and the king has to block the pawn because of the pin on the queen g4 and the king on d1. So I decided to play bishop c3. And now this bishop c3 is totally taking away the escape way from the white king on e1 through e1 and put the rook into the action by opening up the b file. So he saved the knight, played knight e6, and I played rook b1 check. And the only move is to bishop c1. And now, as we know that what the principle telling us about a pin, then if we have a pin, we can make this pin stronger and more dangerous by putting more pressure on the pin piece on the bishop on c1. So I decided to play bishop b2, put more pressure on the pin piece. So now I probably gonna win this bishop on c1. So the only move now is to play king d2 and then put the h1 rook into the defense and defending the bishop on c1. So now I played queen b4 check. And as you can see, now the white king is getting more and more and more exposed by forcing to move into the middle of the board. And we know as a principle that if the opponent king stays in the middle or forced to go in the center or on the side of the board, then the life of the king is in a great danger. So I decided to play queen c3 check. And the white king is forced to move to e4. How funny picture this, think about it. The white king should be in a safe position either on the queen side or on the king side, but the white king is standing on e4 in the middle of the board. So then I took the bishop on c1 now, and the queen took the pawn on f3. And I gave the check on by taking the pawn on c2, queen c2 check, queen d3, and I bring the rook again into the action, rook b4 check, knight d4, and then I finish the game with a winning move. I gave the check with a queen on g2, and now because the white king doesn't have any move and the knight pinned by the rook on b4, the only move is queen f3, but after that I am taking the rook by check, the knight on d4 with my rook, rook takes d4 check, king takes d4, and queen takes f3. I am winning the white queen on f3, and I am easily winning the game. And after this check, queen g2 check, Peter Arch resigned the game and did not find any hope to continue. So that game was extremely beautiful if we look from the beginning that how I was able to manage and keep the activity in the position move by move, not losing time if needed, even sacrificing material, then expose the white king, forced to go into the middle, and then winning a very huge material and win the game. So that game was really very beautiful, full with tactic, and shows very clearly then the activity during a chess game. It's really very important. So I'm suggesting to you, even when you play by black, that seek for activity and don't just only passively defend your position, because to defend passively a position and not having the counterattack during a chess game, it leads you most of the time to lose a chess game. So thank you very much for watching my video. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you were able to learn something during this chess game. Please come back to my website. I'm gonna post more games of mine, also end games of mine. Thank you very much. Have a nice day. Bye bye.